Alright, what is up, boys? We are going to put this short block together. I actually gapped 5 sets of rings yesterday, okay? And I was just so meticulous about making sure everything was perfect that I did a horrible job recording. So I'm just going to start the video here. I got another set of rings. One of them I screwed up, and one of them was messed up in the package. There's a little nick on there, a little burr. I'm not even going to risk that. So they sent me a new set of rings. Like I said, I did all the other 5 yesterday. I was just so worried about getting everything perfect that I just did a horrible job recording. Half of it wasn't even in frame. And we're just going to start from here. I'm going to show you how to gap your rings and assemble pistons. The whole short block should be done in this video. That's what I'm shooting for. Okay, so you're going to want to gap your rings for each cylinder and each piston and then mark them. An example is, I have this one marked as 1. I wrote a 1 on there. Then you're going to want to grab a set of rings and gap them for cylinder 1. And then keep those rings with that cylinder. You see over here how I have all the other sets of rings marked? 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. You're going to want to use a filler gauge. You open up your rings. If you go with Wiseco, there'll be a silver ring, like a chrome ring. That's going to be your number 1. That's hardened. And then you got your second ring. And top from, there's numbers on there. I doubt you'll be able to see it in the camera, but it says N150. This is your second ring, this is your top ring. N150. You're going to want your top ring to be at 22 and your bottom ring to be at 26. So get some oil, rub it down there, get it on the ring. You want to try not to scratch as much as possible. Someone's going to yell at me for not wearing gloves, but this whole thing's going to be cleaned before I do final assembly. So get your ring in there. This is a big point right here. I kind of messed up on one and I kind of panicked. I thought I really overshot it because 32 is fitting in there. I'm like, dude, there's no way, and it's because it wasn't perfectly level. Get your piston, put it on there, and then pick a line. Pick a line. And have it squared all the way around. Make sure that ring is in there level. Now you see how I went with the bottom one, or the oil ring? Make sure it's at the same level all the way around. And then this top ring is supposed to be at 22, but I've noticed that I've been lucky if they even are at 10. So you got a lot to take off. So there's a 10 feeler gauge. Make sure they're not stuck together. Again, make sure it's all squared, and that probably won't even fit. Yeah, see, 10 doesn't even want to go in there. This thing really needs to be open. It's pretty much touching. So it depends on how much you need to open it. If you only need to open it a little bit, let's say it's at 18 when you get it, you can just use a file. This is a really fine file. This is like a jeweler's file. This is to finish it up. But you could take an aggressive file if you only need to open it up a little bit and take a few thou off. Just go one direction and keep it squared. But see, this is at 8. I don't have a real ring cutting tool. They're a diamond blade. I just got a diamond blade in my Dremel. I just turn it on and I just go like this. Real light and soft. And check it every couple of times you even touch it. This is pretty hard. Where I messed up on that one is that I got used to trying to do this one that takes a long time. And then when I touched the second ring, it just blasted through it and I immediately took it to 40 thou. And then from there on out, I just made sure I took my time on every single one, and I wasn't really worried about recording. That's why you're not going to be able to see the rest of them, but I'll show you on this one. I just got on the slowest speed. Stay on the same side. I'm just flipping it over so I'm going the opposite way. Now let's check that real quick. Make sure you clean it off as much as possible. Put it in there. Get your piston. See, 12 fits now. Just a minute ago, 10 wouldn't even fit. Just take your time. I cannot stress that enough. So if this needs to be at 22, I try to shoot for 20, 21, and I'll do that last little bit with a file, and then I'll hit everything with a jeweler's file to get all the burrs and everything off, and then I pair it with that piston. I don't put them on. I haven't put any rings on yet because I want to clean everything real good. You don't want to lose track of which ring goes with what piston and what cylinder. Alright, I got it to where 21 fits, okay, and 22 does not. And a lot of people will tell you to go inwards so you don't get a burn on the outside, but you gotta clean this up for birds anyways. So this is a really light jeweler's file, like I'm pretty sure I've already said multiple times. And then I'm gonna go over all of these, clean them really good, inspect them really good, square it up. Because I panicked one time, I put them in there and I must have pushed one side down because it was way off and I flipped. This is 22. Look at that, just snug to where it actually gets in there. I'll file a little bit more, clean it up with the jeweler's one. I want 22 to be able to move nicely. You'll know if it's square with your feeler gauge too, because your feeler gauge is straight. If for some reason it like won't go in the back, but it'll go in towards the front, you know what I mean? Okay, this top ring is perfect. It's at 22. I didn't record everything, and I'm sure I'll edit some up, but I probably took that back and forth 30 times. And then this one is so soft that you're really just gonna have to hit it once or twice. If you're using a diamond wheel, or if you got one of them ring tools, or just do it with the file. Get some oil on it. Now the second one's supposed to be at 26. I bet you 15 doesn't even fit in it. 15 does fit. Let's see if 20 fits. Yeah, it's nowhere near that. So this one's so soft, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna barely nick this, and it's gonna be up to like 22. Fits. All right, I'll bring it back. Okay, I got that second ring, the black ring, to a little over 24. 25 doesn't fit yet, but 24 is loose. That's so close. I'm just gonna keep going a little bit with the jeweler's file. Now, some people will argue back and forth that the second ring's not that important. You can open it up. I mean, there's a guy in the forums that say that he runs his second rings at 30. I'm not going that much, okay? I'm going at 26, and I want 26 to fit in there real nice and easy. And I don't want 27 to fit in there. I mean, it's simple as that. Just take your time. I've probably said that 1,000 times. That's what I'm going to do, and then we'll get to putting the rods on the pistons. Okay, I've checked these both 100 times off camera. Okay, I wiped them down. Everything's going to be cleaned. All 6 sets of pistons, rings are gapped. Clean this all up, wipe everything down. This can be covered back up. Okay, let's open these rods up. Comes with ARP bolts, some ARP assembly lube, these rods. They're all sealed. That is sweet. I'm probably gonna wear gloves because the pin, you won't be able to wash in between that. You know what I mean? Look, I know some of you guys are like neat freaks, okay? And a couple people are gonna be mad at me. But it's not that serious, especially that I'm gonna wash everything again. I'm going to wash everything and coat everything in assembly lube because I don't know how long this thing's gonna sit. I've put engines together in gravel driveways that are still running to this day. I did a 4-wheeler engine pretty much in the middle of the woods before. It's gonna be fine, but you should take every precaution possible to keep everything nice and neat. I'm actually gonna get a piece of plastic to put down on this. Okay, this is the piece of cardboard that came with the gasket kit for the engine. Alright boys, these two took me forever, just trying different ways. And then I kind of came out with a method. These two have taken me like 5 minutes. I don't know, it was just a learning curve. So I'm going to show you the best way I found to get it together. So you're going to want to put one clip in before you put your wrist pin in. You're going to want one gap upwards and one gap downwards. You don't want them going sideways because when it's going up and down, it'll spread and get back together. When you go this way, it'll just spread apart, supposedly. That's what they say. You definitely don't want the gap to fall in that little hole. You want the gap being straight up or straight down. So I've been doing that on each one. I've been doing one straight up and one straight down on each piston. Now this first one with the wrist pin out, you kind of want to go in straight with it and then fold it backwards, if that makes sense. So put it straight in. Now hold this side down, the side that's still sticking out. Let me see if I can get you guys a better shot. You see that? Hold your finger on that side, push down, use something plastic to push the two ends up into the hole. Because you don't want to scratch the inside of this like journal. I got both of those in the groove. And then you just got this little bit you gotta do. Now you don't want to scratch the crap out of this thing, so I've been using this paintbrush. I was thinking about going and buying like body tools, which I had at one time. I couldn't find them. I was gonna go buy some, and then I seen this paintbrush. I just been using this. You see how I got the top clipped in, the bottom's not yet? Boom, there you go. There's that side. Now, get your glove on. Now just coat everything in assembly lube if that's what you're using. Pretty sure I already said this, but I'm using vr4 2050. It's like honey. It's got a bunch of zinc in it. That's what I'm using on these pistons. I'll use assembly lube on the bearings themselves. This is such a tight thing, I just feel like you just push all the assembly lube off of it. Get yourself a rod. Save all this plastic because I've been putting them on, well, I mean, unless you want to put them in like a Tupperware container or something. Get some assembly lube or some heavy oil in there. Everything's gonna be cleaned again before I put it together, so I might squirt some lube up in there. Now this one's the hardest one. You gotta kind of walk it in without scratching anything. Make sure everything rotates. Make sure you're not hung up on anything. I'm trying to put it in upside down. Either way, I guess. I found out that if you do it, if you walk it in, you can use that hole to help pry the end in. So I start here, I walk it in, and then once I get to the end, I put this little pick in there, in that hole, and I kind of just pry very lightly. Fell right in place. They're not all gonna be that easy. That one was super easy. Sometimes it pops out, you just gotta keep trying it. I just wanted to explain that to you guys, because I was trying to find videos on it, because those ones are actually from last night. I for real have like 2 hours and maybe even longer than that trying to do these too. And then I watched a couple of videos and no one really explains it. They just put them in and make it look so easy. And I just made it look easy. That was just a lucky one. These aren't fun, boys. Just take your time, try not to scratch nothing, constantly check, make sure everything rotates, the pin, everything. Then I've been putting them back in the bag. I don't want any dust or anything on any of these. Just try to keep everything as clean as possible. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna do my last one. I'll bring you back. I mean, everything was going smooth. This does not fit. Like, at all. The hole in this rod is not big enough or something. It's like, not close to fitting. Even close. Now I can't get it out. Oh, there we go. You know, one of you guys just commented this morning or last night on my last video, me saying that I'm gonna rebuild this myself, and said, now there's no one else to blame but yourself. And I was like, yeah, you're 100% right. Except for this situation right here. I don't know, they said they're gonna get me one out as soon as possible. Now I'm gonna check every single one. I already checked them when I was assembling them. Everything moved all right, but now it's like, did I do that good of a job? I just want to double and triple check now. I think all the other 5 are fine. That just sucks. I mean, I can still put the crank in and put these 5 in. Alright, boys, back out here. Look who decided to show up. I mean, I must pay this guy too much. It's been 3 weeks. He just decides not to come into work.
Time to work.
We gotta clean this crank. I haven't made up my mind what I want to use to clean it yet. I think I'm going to use seafoam, because seafoam you can put in your oil, but it's also a cleaner. I know some people use like just dish soap and water and pressure wash the block and everything. Some people use WD-40. Yeah, we got to get the crank in and 5 pistons. I got to wait for them to send me a new rod. I even just had Adrian bring over everything and mic it. The rod's definitely smaller than the pin. And the pin's the same size as all the other pins. This hole just was, it's like barely, like maybe the drill bit was wore out once they got to this one. It's like so small, but I'm not gonna sit here and hammer it in there. I'm just not gonna do it. Now that Adrian's here, we're gonna clean all these rings. We're gonna check them one more time. Just get another set of eyes to look at them. Clean the rings, clean the tops of the pistons, and start assembling piston rings. We checked the ring gaps, we're good?
Yep.
All right, Adrian checked my work, I'm good. Wipe everything down with brake cleaner or alcohol. It's going to be easier for me to show you on this paper, I think, than actually on the ring. The oil ring. You see how instead of it overlapping like that, you want it just to butt up like that. Obviously with the point facing up to the top. Alright, even though I just cleaned it all out, inspect every groove. Make sure there's nothing like crazy in there that you missed. So how do these go? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock for this oil ring expander. From the front of the engine, you see how it's marked? This bottom one, this gap will go at 2 o'clock. This ring facing 9 o'clock. Where's this one go?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Exactly. Lettering facing up. You see how easy it is just to walk them on? You don't need the expander tool. You're going to break something. Alright, we're gonna finish putting these together. Okay, boys, all the pistons are together. Like Adrian said, we kind of are doing this out of order a little bit. We probably should have cleaned the block, put the crank in, then did one piston and immediately put it in so we didn't have to double check everything because those gaps are gonna move. The only thing is that I wanted him to check my ring gap. You gotta clean the block after that. But if you trust your ring gap, you could just clean the block, put the rings on, then immediately put the pistons in the block. We've been going back and forth. Adrian's cleaned his blocks with his WD-40. I know a couple other people do that too. That's what I think I'm going to do to start, just spray it all down because you can actually get like some pressure. You know what I mean? If you use like a can of WD-40, you can like spray down in them oil squirters and stuff and get them blown out real nice. Let's get some gloves on and clean this block. I used all my good gloves. I already used 40 sets of gloves. Okay, let's get to clean this. I definitely want to make sure I spray those oil squirters. Alright, let's get this girdle apart. Well, we got the book. We were looking to see if we should use like brake clean or alcohol or something. It just says remove oil and grease from bearings and bearing surface. Damn, dude, these things are definitely dirty. Let's get some bearings.
We're building motors.
Still have to clean that crank. Now these all say top and bottom. Lower, upper, upper.
Look at the grooves.
Oh, the grooves are uppers? Upper. I'm gonna check them. I don't trust you. Upper.
There's a huge difference.
Okay, here's all the uppers. These will go in the block. It doesn't matter. Well, yeah, it does, right? Oh, I guess not.
No.
Well, because the ones on the end only have one oil squirter in them. So on the block, the ones on the end only have 1 or 2 holes, 1 oil squirter, and the ones in the middle have 3. But I guess all the bearings are the same. Yeah, they all got 3 holes in them. Now, I've always put them in like this and then slid them upwards. I've seen other people slide them down on the way that they got the groove. I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, last upper. Top bearings are in. Let's clean this crank off. They had it covered in like a Cosmoline, so it wouldn't rust, because they didn't put it in a bag. And then once I had it, the next day I ended up rubbing it down with a 2050. We just want to like wipe off where the plastic gauge is going to go. Here's your plastic gauge. You just pretty much get a little piece of plastic. It's like a wax material. It's not really plastic. You'll just cut a little strip in there. Just cut it, put it on each one. Just a little piece, and then once you torque it down, you'll compare it to this to get your size. You just want these to pretty much be straight.
Find the torque, okay.
Yeah, look, here's the torque sequence though. So you'll start on the back, middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's pretty much just the normal like torque sequence. So start in the middle, work your way out on all the inside bolts. If you got a 4-bolt, then the same thing on all the outside bolts. If you got a 2-bolt, it's just you just do the inside bolts. All right, well, Adrian's having a hard time finding the torque spec in his book over there. It's like a dictionary. I'm going to put these in the caps/girdle, which is all on one in this car. It's the same thing I did over there. I'm just putting these bearings in while I'm waiting for him to figure out the torque spec. Adrian found it. It's right here. It's 54 foot-pounds, 74 Newton meters. Yeah, if you guys have a 2-bolt turbo, I would check because this book's just for 94 and up. All right, just make them snug in that order. I mean, it doesn't have to be like perfect 1, 2, 3 just to get them snug before you start torquing, but you want to torque them in order. Now take it all back apart. I'm not gonna hit you.
Yeah, I don't trust you.
I can put concrete pins in for a living. We're in spec. I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to show you. We're probably a little bit bigger than 0.051 millimeter, which is way before it says to replace these. Plus these are race bearings, so I probably have a little bit more clearance in there. But yeah, we're definitely in spec on all of them. They all look good. They're all like really close to the same thing. I don't know how well any of this is showing up on camera for you guys. That line compared to this one, it's a little bit bigger than 0.051 millimeters. We're golden, boys. We're gonna torque this down for the final time. We gotta put thrust washers in. I almost forgot about that. I'm gonna try to record, but I'm gonna be covered in assembly lube. You see how you got that little indent right there and not one on this side? So you're gonna want this side with this little shoe and that indent, and the grooves always goes towards the crank. Always go towards the crank like that. And then same thing on that one that doesn't have a shoe on it. Grooves go towards the crank, and we're gonna hopefully use some of the assembly lube to help it stick to the block. You almost can't use too much assembly lube, especially in my case where this might sit for 8 months with my luck. Just like that. Then this one, just like this. Now get the crank, put the other ones on the thing, and try to flip it. It's gonna be fun. All right, we're gonna put the crank in. I just don't want them to fall on the ground. Use assembly lube on everything. We're gonna look up and see. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to put oil on those. The book doesn't say anything about putting oil on those crank cap girdle bolts. Okay, so the book doesn't even say to put oil on the head bolts, which you always do that. You always put oil on your head bolts or head studs. So I'm just gonna put a drop of 2050 on it. It'll just help torque it down a little bit. You can leave down in the comments, call me an idiot if you think I am for putting oil on these, but if you buy ARPs, they tell you to put grease on them. So you can buy ARP bolts for this. We got an extra one.
It's always good. Oh, that would have been awesome. I should have brought some extra parts and then pull my pocket. I'm like, what are these for? Oh,
you dick.
Damn it. I can still do it. We're not done yet. You'll forget. That would be freaking awesome.
I'd be flipping out.
I'm like, dude, I have a head bolt sitting here. What the hell?
I don't have head bolts, so.
I have ARP studs. I'll bring an ARP stud.
You'll
still forget. See, I can say all I want now. By the time we do that, 8 months from
now.
now.
No, it won't. It's gonna be in this video. I'm gonna leave it in.
You'll forget 8 months from now.
It won't be 8 months, you fucking asshole.
Dude, the way
this thing's gonna be fucking running in a month.
The way this car goes, it's gonna be 8 months.
No, it's not.
Yeah, freaking a dog will eat your next package or something. Something's gonna happen bad. That doesn't make any freaking sense.
Yeah, like the rod. I might not get a rod back from that company for 8 months.
I mean, come on. I mean, like, someone calls and tries to sabotage the motor builder. Your powder coater guy basically lost your stuff for a while. It's like, how much bad luck can one guy get?
I had a complete
Seriously.
engine shop completely not rebuild anything.
I was trying not to bring that up, but we'll go there, I guess.
Story Motors. I'll down that one. I don't really talk shit about companies. You guys know that. But Story Motors, they can fuck off.
Look at the fun time we get to have now because of them.
Yeah, so much fun. All right, this camera's about to die. We're gonna torque this down. I'm gonna get a new battery. I'll bring you guys back when we start putting pistons in. Okay, boys, back out here. Gotta start putting pistons in. This thing spins so nicely. I'm so happy. I'm gonna plastic gauge every single one. See where we're at. I'm gonna do every single one. Let's just start putting this piston in. I'll show you one of them, and then we're gonna do the other 5. I brought a little container out here. I'm gonna fill this up like a good inch with some heavy oil and put the pistons in there. Put some assembly lube on the top of the rod and wrist pins. Just soak these for a minute, rotate everything. Okay, boys. I didn't have the camera on. I put it in this bin. I'm pretty sure I explained some of it. Just been soaking it in oil. I wipe the whole thing down in oil. I get some oil on my fingers. I make sure that the cylinder's coated in some good heavy oil. And then you just want to keep checking, make sure the ring gaps are all lined up. And then we got to break this apart. They're numbered, so you can't flip them and get them wrong.
That's good.
You don't want to wipe this down to put the bearings in. So just wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol or whatever you want. Just make sure there's no oil or grease on it. And then get yourself some bearings. Yes, I probably should be wearing gloves. And there's not a top and bottom. And then wipe these bearings off just a little tiny bit because you want the plastic gauge to stick. Because on the last one we didn't wipe it off and the plastic gauge just fell off. Really only need to do this top one. And then the crank too. Just one more time. You definitely want to make sure you got enough oil in here. You want to check that ring gap one more time. Make sure you're going forward. Then get your ring compression tool. And just take your time. You don't want to scratch the sidewalls. And just tap it slowly. You'll see it down in there. You guys probably aren't going to be able to see anything, but you just want to watch and look for the rod to come in contact with the crank. I doubt anything was in frame. You just want to get those lined up. The like fork part of the rod lined up perfectly, and then just tap it down so it's on there. Okay, then flip it over. Okay, like I said, just clean this all up. Use a little bit of alcohol if it's super greasy. You just want a nice spot to put the plastic gauge at. Get a piece of plastic gauge. Make sure it's in there pretty straight. Hopefully you guys can see that. There you go. Then get your cap. Make sure your numbers are lined up. I'm not using any ARP assembly lube, just check clearance. I'll put that on for final torque after I put assembly lube on everything. Pretty much run them all the way home by hand. These are 45 with these ARPs. These are not going to be the same as what a stock one is. I think the stock ones are 30 something. 35? We'll check in the book for you guys that are doing a stock one. And then just check them twice. And then take it off and check your plastic gauge. This is going to be a long, drawn out process. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see or not. 0.051, we're in spec. Yeah, turn the crank, then pick it up, then you can put some assembly lube on there. Cover this stuff, okay? Especially if you don't know how long it's gonna sit. I'm sure I've said that 10,000 times. With my luck, this could be running in a week. This could sit for 3 months, I don't know. Coat this, just paint it. Do not be scared. Get all around the journal. Get all in that bearing. Same thing with your cap. Can you turn it? Yep. Make sure your numbers are lined up. Numbers here, numbers here. Make sure they're the same number. So we've already done that. Then get your ARP bolts and then put assembly lube on there. Adrian's gonna do it. You wanna put it on the threads and on the head, the bottom part of the head, so you can get a nice torque. And then again, take them all the way home by hand. Everything should go super smooth and easy. Then get your torque wrench. 45. Make sure everything spins. Damn, boy. All right, 3 more to do. I'll bring you guys back. I'm not gonna record every one. All right, boys, there we go. 5 are in. I gotta wait to get that rod. I honestly don't want to talk crap about any companies. You guys know I try to do my best not to do that. I'm not gonna say who I got it from. It's definitely not IMR. I know I've said IMR was doing everything for this. He could not get rods. It 100% is not IMR. Put it on everything I love. But everything's in. I want to show you guys that it rotates. I don't have a bolt, so Adrian's going to give me a bolt, and when he comes over, I'll do it by hand, make sure everything's super smooth. It feels smooth just doing it like this by hand, grabbing like each counterweight. I think that's something on this one, boys. We got the short block together. Let's flip it over so you guys can see it. I'm excited. It's coming together. I need that rod, and we'll be putting heads on, and so I will see you guys in the next one. I don't think there's anything I'm forgetting. That's it. That's how you assemble a short block.